and welcome to Hold the Pass, a podcast all about passing on motorsport knowledge and insights among friends. My name is Misha.
And my name is Fatima.
And we are so excited for today's guest because she has done so much in the motorsport space for women. She is an incredibly versatile driver. She is the first woman to compete in Radical Cup Canada. She was part of the first all-female lineup for GTO in the World Racing League. She has done so much more, which we will get into in the show. Welcome to the podcast, Canadian racing superstar Alana Carter.
Wow, what a warm intro. Thank you so much for having me on.
Of course, we're so happy to have you on the show, and the cat can stay.
Oh,
yeah,
it was like
cats.
the second we hit record, she was like, my time to shine. So.
It's like, I'm here.
We love a cat cameo.
Yes.
My cats have had so many cameos. I'm going to have to start like charging royalties on their behalf because they've been in so many things.
No, for real. For anybody who is listening to this on audio, please check out our YouTube to see the most adorable cat that just walked past Alana. But before we get into deeper chats about racing, how are you? How has the off season been? How's the beginning of the racing season going?
I've been good. This year has been very different. Last year was like the craziest, most insane year in terms of racing for me. I did more races than I ever had. And then this year is like almost a little bit more of a recovery year after all of that. So I'm racing from Canada this year. I'm staying home, which is honestly really nice. And this series that it's the same series I raced back in 2024. So it's a Radical Cup Canada again. Mm-hmm. They have grown so much and they're doing so many cool things this year that I'm just like really excited to be involved in it. My team has grown. So I now have like a little sister car that's going to be with me. So Sydney Castles is stepping into cars for the first time and she's going to be my teammate this year. Mm-hmm. So I've been good. I've been just grinding, trying to make things happen. But it's been awesome, carrying lots of momentum from last year.
Oh my God, that's incredible. That sounds so fun.
I'm really excited. It's always really fun, like meeting and working with new teams, but sometimes it's just like really nice to feel like you're coming home and this is a team and a car and a series and tracks that I'm familiar with. Mm-hmm. So it's just, the focus for me this year is to just like really have fun and enjoy myself.
That's awesome. That's really exciting. I'm like excited for you. And like, it is like kind of nice doing something that's a bit familiar as well. I think there's always like a little bit of growth in that too. Even though it's familiar, it's like, it's familiar, but it's also different at the same time, you know, same, but different, you know? So that's going to be really exciting. So I kind of want to take it back a little bit, if that's okay with you. Back
Absolutely.
To 7-year-old Alana. So from our understanding, you did about a year of karts and then you jumped right into karts at the age of 11, which is crazy. First of all, absolutely insane. What was it about cars that made you want to race them? Like, was there a specific moment that you can remember that made everything just click for you?
So racing cars is definitely like a family sport for me, but at a significantly lower level than what I'm doing now. Like we used to like pull beater cars out of the junkyard and put a roll cage in it and go racing. Like we were racing like $1,100 cars. Like now I'm racing like $300,000 cars. So it's a very different field. But yeah, so I have been at the racetrack for as long as I can remember. Like, at the local racetrack that my dad used to race at called Edmonton International Raceway. It's like a little oval track. They would always have birthday rides. So like if it was your birthday that weekend, you could go for a ride in a race car at like a really slow pace. And like it was my birthday every single weekend. I was doing that all the time. So it just came really naturally to me. And my dad was always super cool because he, you know, got my brother into racing. And then it was just natural for me to also get into racing. There was never a division in my family where it was like, oh, the boys go racing and the girls don't. Like my dad was like, get your butt in the car. My dad was just like, yeah, get your butt in the car. And it was just fun. For so many years, we raced in a way that was genuinely just so much fun. There wasn't so much pressure. It was like our weekend with the family instead of like doing a different kind of vacation. My entire family would go to the racetrack. So it really runs through my blood. I kind of don't know how to live without racing, but it's very different now that I've tried to make a career out of it. The added pressure and more eyeballs on me is a very different story.
Yeah, I can imagine. Do you still find that same like joy and spark though that you had when you were younger and just like doing it for fun?
Absolutely. But I find there's more like good days and bad days. Yeah. There are some days where like, whoo, okay, the pressure is a lot. Most of the time I still just like absolutely love it though.
I mean, if you didn't, you wouldn't be here. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Last year I had such a successful like breakthrough year in terms of results in racing that it was a really strong reminder of like, okay, yeah, I'm really good at this and I love this and I should keep doing it.
Like, yeah, you should.
Yeah. Yeah, of course you should. You've made some incredible milestones. But kind of talking about that pressure that you feel, especially like when you're just starting out. And I know from your experience, like drivers, and you've talked about this in other interviews, drivers who are in the early part of their career in sort of like lower to mid-tier series, they tend to have to do everything themselves, right? Can you talk a bit about like what your experience was like just being thrown into this world where you're basically managing yourself?
The best way I would describe it is like my life is a constant carriage coming before the horse. So it's like I get these opportunities and then I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to figure out how to actually make this happen. Like there's really cool stuff happening, but then you're like, oh, I have to figure this out and I'm the only one who's going to figure it out for myself. Like I've got amazing resources that I can lean on and ask questions to, but at the end of the day, I'm the only one who's rooting for myself as hard as I am. And it's a lot of trial and error. Some days feeling incredibly defeated and being like, why am I doing this? This is so insane. But I've learned a lot more over the last few years of just like how to be strategic and not say yes to every opportunity that comes up. Saying yes to absolutely everything used to be my bread and butter. And it's like how I got this far. But I'm kind of learning that that's not serving me anymore. And I have to have some boundaries. Otherwise, I'm going to over leverage myself. But it's kind of been this like beautiful, difficult journey of it's so hard, but every milestone I'm so proud of because I did it myself. Even like just recently, I closed on a sponsor that I can't announce yet, but I'm really excited to announce. And just like that one little not little, pretty big, pretty significant victory, but having a victory, it was just like, oh my God, yes. Okay. This is why I love it. But when you're in the depths of the, you've got to get 1,000 no's before you get one yes, that 998th no sure feels like garbage.
It will take you out.
No, for real. Like the emotional burnout of that, I can't even like.
Yeah. It's like I mean, I just like I hate that. I hate that you have to go through all these like hoops, but like it does feel a bit more rewarding whenever you do achieve something amazing. It's truly like adulting times 100. Like you're adulting at like the highest level of adulting. But you should be so proud of everything you've achieved, and congratulations on that sponsor that we don't know anything about, but I'm very excited for you.
Thank you. I'm excited to announce it.
Yeah, I'm sure it's gonna be wonderful. You're so right about not like saying yes to everything. I feel like obviously like in the beginning, you're super excited because you're starting off somewhere and you're like, yeah, look at all these opportunities coming my way, I'm going to say yes. But also it's just like you want to get somewhere. But once you hit that stage where you're like, actually, I can be picky about what I want to say yes to, that is amazing. And not a lot of people get there. And it's really hard to get to that phase in your career. And I guess in that, because the Canadian motorsport scene is it's very interesting. It's wonderful, but I can imagine that it's a bit hard to navigate. What would you say that your journey was like when you were and while you still are navigating the Canadian racing scene, growing up, one as a woman and just as a racer in general?
It's like challenging yet incredible at the same time. Especially in the Canadian scene, there's, a lot of people complain about like, oh, it's such a small industry, everyone knows everyone. So you do like, don't be a bad person, don't burn any bridges. But I've also learned that there's sections of the industry that are like these beautiful communities of incredibly supportive, selfless people. What's cool is I feel like being a woman in motorsports right now is no longer like a handicap. I don't know if handicap is the right term to use, but like, if anything, I've gotten more opportunities because of it. I got the opportunity with AE Victory Racing last year that was just absolutely incredible. I love every woman on that team so much. It was just really cool, like being in a car that we're putting on the podium and an all-female team, and getting to work with such competent co-drivers. It's interesting because, like, at our level here, I'm a pretty good aspiring, coming up the ranks driver. But then I got to work with Sarah Montgomery and Ashley Freiberg, who are like seasoned, true pros who have been doing it like for, almost as long as I've been alive. And they're badass. Like it was so cool to watch Ashley at the end of our race, like put on a clinic out there and put everyone on that track to shame. And I was like, that was like that extra little level of like, yeah, okay, I want to be her. Like, I'm already doing cool things, but like, I can be even cooler. But it's been such an interesting, challenging journey. And it's funny because I feel like if you would have asked me that question like 2 months ago, I was in the thick of it so hard, I would have like cried or given you some very different answer. But I'm like, it's hard. It's hard, but it is the most rewarding thing I've ever done in my life.
I mean, we definitely don't want to make you cry.
No, I'm like, I've come so far since then. It's crazy how quickly things can change in this industry. I, coming into 2026, had all my ducks in a row for this beautiful plan, and like 3 aspects of that plan fell apart. And I was like, oh, I have to pivot right now. So it's stressful, but now that I've pivoted and I love the direction that I'm going, it's like, okay, cool. Let's keep going.
Hell yeah. Of course. Of course. I mean, is there anything about the industry that you'd like to see changed for like up and coming racers? Is there like one thing that you'd like to change?
Oh, wow. That's a really good question. I would love to see more success with like the scholarship initiatives and the programs that do help out young drivers. Road to Racing is an organization here in Canada that has helped out like so many Canadian racers actually get the funding to go racing. It's just so challenging. There's like this gap in between being a complete rookie and then that like middle plateau phase where you're not pro enough yet to like be just this turnkey driver and you still need more experience, but you're still showing tons of potential. And I think that's the hardest part to get through. And especially in Canada, we have some wicked talent, but a lot of them just don't have the funding or the means to do something about it. So I would love to figure out how to like help drivers get through that, or see more initiatives helping specifically Canadian drivers, or even just, have corporations start to recognize that not all of the sponsorship has to go to F1. Like, you could spend a significantly lower amount of money at some grassroots racing.
Absolutely. Please.
100%. 100%. But it's actually hilarious that you mentioned the scholarship programs, because this is something that I've wanted to ask you about for so long, because I know you've had a lot of experience and a lot of your racing career has been enabled through these programs. Can you talk a bit about your experiences and sort of the ways that they've helped shape your career, and like how that significance actually plays out in the real world?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the very first scholarship program that I went over in England was my first time getting into a GT4 car. And that was huge. Not only the coolest experience ever, being the first person in the world to race the Lotus Emira GT4. But as soon as I had like a proper high level race car on my racing resume, people took me more seriously, and it opened more doors for me. Where when you're coming up and being like, hey, like, I've raced this race car that me and my dad built at home. Will you let me drive your race car? Nobody's going to take you seriously. But once I had some real race results, it really opened doors for me. Then again, come Radical Cup Canada, with Radical Academy back in 2024, they helped me out so much. Like, Robert Burgess and that program saved my butt. And because I would not have been, I was able to raise some funds, but not enough for a full season. That's the thing. When you're like, gosh, I was 24 years old at that point, living in Toronto, just like also trying to make rent and make a living. And then if I wanted to go race this car, it would be like $120,000 a year. And I'm like, girl, I've never even made that much money in my life. Like, That's not happening.
Oh my God.
So these programs have helped me out so much. And it's been great, because even like this year, again, Radical Academy is helping me out so much, but it's not a total free ride. They're not making it like, it's not completely easy, but it allows me to bring on sponsors at a level that allows me to like also foster those relationships. You know, it's so hard to go directly to a sponsor and be like, hey, I need you don't know me, but like, we need this much money and this is what I can offer in return. Where if I can start at a smaller level and build those relationships, then, you know, we build trust. They're willing to invest more in my program, and they realize the return that they get back. So it's been great for me that, like, you know, I still have to put in the work to finding funding, but it's not like such a daunting amount that there's no point. You're just like, how do I even pull this much together? Yeah. And then AE Victory for me last year was like really a turning point for my career. It gave me so much seat time, and like those races were crazy. Like the WRL races. Oh my gosh. I think at COTA we had like 70 something cars on track at once.
That's gracious.
And like the level of brain function that has to go on to think about that many things. And like, I'm also learning a new track, and trying to like dodge all these cars of crazy different speeds. It taught me so much that then when I hopped back in the Radical for the Toronto Indy last year, I was just filling in for Demi. All of a sudden it was easy, and I was like, oh, this is fun. Okay.
Like, oh, this is a joyride. Like,
yeah. Like, I just got to focus on like fewer things, and I was so locked in, and it was so good for my confidence. But getting that seat time is so important, because I know I have the talent, but it's really hard for me to compete against people who have been in those cars, been on those tracks for years. And I'm showing up like trying to figure it all out and be competitive all at once. So, yeah, the scholarship programs have been phenomenal to me. I wouldn't be here having this conversation if it wasn't for all of them.
No, that's honestly, scholarships in any aspect of anyone's career is truly just the most amazing thing. I don't know how in the
Port.
heck you did that at Coda because I would have just crashed into everybody. I'm like, it's just race over for everyone, red flag it all completely. That's absolutely amazing. And it's funny that you mention how having that seat time really gave you a lot more confidence and a lot more experience because I mean, first of all, you've achieved a lot in a short period of time in your career. Like Misha mentioned in our introduction, you have become the first female and the youngest champion of the Western Memorial Cup back in 2019. You were also part of the first all-female lineup to win the World Racing League GTO race. Also the first woman to compete in Radical Cup Canada, plus so much more. You've done a lot. You've raced in many different series, different cars, different tracks, and you kind of touched on this, but would you be able to talk about it a bit more? How do you approach learning something completely new, and how much carryover would you say is there when you're doing that?
It's actually a really interesting thing that I love this question that I've learned about just myself recently. Sorry, my words are coming out in different orders, but I love that question. And I've learned something really interesting about myself lately. I thrive in new environments. And when it was new and challenging and different, I did so well. And then almost when it became too familiar, that's when I like had to struggle with a little bit of complacency and was like, wait, no, now's not the time to like, get complacent. Yeah. One of my favorite achievements that I've done so far in my career was this past year in TC America. I was the first Canadian woman to podium in TC America, and I did it on my debut race. Before the Thursday test day, I had never driven that car before, and I just went and sent it.
Let's do you ever stop yourself whenever you do these things? Are you ever like, wait a minute?
Yeah,
that one was really cool, but I think I love psychology. I love trying to figure out my brain and why it's functioning the way it is. I think I do so well when I don't have any expectations. I went into that race with a progress mentality. I just wanted to learn. I just wanted to be there. And yeah, I was really just thinking about learning, and that was my goal. And then I knocked it out of the park. Where when I feel that pressure of like, okay, well, now I've already podiumed in this series. Now I have to podium again, or now I have to win. That's actually when I have a way worse race. Like, and that's kind of why I'm talking about like my goal for this year is to just like go have fun. The results will come. I don't need to put so much pressure on myself for results. Just enjoy my sport.
That's something that I think a lot of people can relate to, like myself especially. Like when I pick up a new hobby, it's like, okay, I have to be really good at this. Like I have to like go for like the expectations are super high, especially if you come from a world like racing that has so much pressure on it, or if you're from like an academic background or whatever. But speaking of like psychology and sort of mindset, have you ever had any habits that you've had to like unlearn, or like that have just stuck with you like between different cars, different types of tracks? Because you've done, like Fatima said, so much.
Yeah, at the beginning of my road racing journey, I really struggled with going from the dirt to the circuit racing. Now they're like in separate areas of my brain, and when I hop in the dirt car, it's just this whole different beast, and I don't translate any of those habits back over. But when I was first learning road racing, like it was so funny because I did my first like licensing school, and when I had a coach with me, I was great. And then as soon as I didn't have a coach with me, I started doing the weirdest stuff. I was like turning and braking at the same time to throw the car sideways and mashing the throttle like I do in my car. And I was so frustrated because what had happened is that when I was consciously thinking about it, I could execute the right thing. But as soon as something changed, I defaulted back to muscle memory. And I had like 10 years of this muscle memory of throw the car in and mash the throttle, that now when they're like, no, smooth, you have to be smooth. I was like, this is so different. But it took a lot to break that habit. And it's tough. Even like, you can create silly little habits. I had a funny bad habit after I raced the touring car, and then I got back in the GT4 car. I was like picking up the throttle way too early, because in a front wheel drive car, you can use the gas to pull you out of the corner, right? In a rear wheel drive car, if you haven't turned enough yet, you're just gonna like go straight and understeer. Mm-hmm. So my next race after I drove the touring car, I was so good at my last race. Why have I forgotten how to drive? So it's such a great question, because it is part of the challenge. But I also think it's part of what makes me such a good driver, is I've just been forced to adapt. And the quicker I can figure out, I picked up a habit from that car that's not serving me here, then the quicker we can like get on with the show and keep driving well.
It's so funny how like bad habits just like stick with you. Like you can like do something and then like not do it for years, and when you go right back to it, you're like, oh wait, how did that happen? How do you say you have worked to unlearn some of those bad habits that you've picked up over the years? Or how do you build your confidence on a new track where you don't have years of experience to fall back on?
In terms of undoing bad habits, you almost have to treat it like you're forming a new good habit again. Like, it's so frustrating that I can be so far along in my racing career, and some days I just got to go back to basics. Like really break it down and like really focus on one thing. I've got some days where I'm in the sim where, my only goal is to just make sure this is correct, or whatever specific bad habit I'm working on. I'm so grateful for the simulator. My progress has skyrocketed from having a simulator at home, and even just like getting really comfortable with looking at my own telemetry. And that has helped me out so much, because I feel like I used to like almost concrete bad habits, like pound lap after lap of doing the same thing and not knowing what I was doing different. And now if I do the same thing a couple times and it doesn't feel right, I can just pull up the data and I'm like, oh, bozo, that's what you're doing. Okay. It's so helpful. Like, really just a lot of studying, I've found. You really, really, really prepare ahead of time. And that was something that actually was like a bit of a rude awakening for me this year. I think it's funny because I've gone so far in my career, but a lot of it has been like figuring it out on my own and learning things the hard way. And one of the things that really was a big smack in the face to me this year was this concept of the most professional drivers, for the most part, don't just like have some God-given talent where they can hop in any car, any track and be amazing. Every once in a while, you'll have an exception. You'll have an exception who is just ungodly. But for the most part, the real pros are the ones who prepare, and they have systems and they prepare like crazy. And I, caught myself up after a couple of races with big success being like, okay, my confidence is great now. I don't have to prepare as well as I normally do. And then I learned that I do still have to prepare. And that was like the biggest slap in the face ever, that like, no, the reason that those race weekends were so successful is because I dug so deep and I prepared so much for them. It's not that all of a sudden I have figured out how to be a god and drive every car on every track. So, it really just all comes down to preparation and having some sort of methodical approach. It's interesting because I'm a firm believer that everyone should always have a coach. Like, I coach a ton of people. I have coaches. It's all part of the cycle.
Yeah.
And one of the things that like me and my coach have been working on is having, the same methodical approach that you approach every track to. So even though new track, new car, there's still some form of familiarity. You're still doing the same thing. So yeah, it's been an interesting year of learning. This is a fun time to talk to me because I'm like, oh, wow, I learned a lot last year.
Oh my God. No, that's so cool. And I guess like it does give you a bit of structure, right? Like when you're going into it. But like does the sim also help in terms of getting ready for a brand new track?
Oh, totally. I actually one of the tracks that I struggled with the most this year was one that didn't have a good sim rendering, and I couldn't just clock as many laps as I normally do, and the way that I normally prepared wasn't accessible to me. So I am a big sim person. It allows me to create muscle memory so that when I get there, I already know exactly what I'm doing. I just have to go do it.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And speaking of, I mean, sim, maybe not sims, but you've probably done this on a sim maybe before. What would you say your dream circuit is that you would love to race on, and what is your dream series to race in?
Ooh, Spa is the bucket list. Spa is so cool.
Yeah.
Dream series for me, I've always kind of wanted to just do like a 24 hours race. That would just be like a crazy bucket list check off. That's my like real aspirational, maybe I can do it before I die type thing. But yeah, I think that it would be super cool to do 24 hours of Daytona or something like that. Yeah, and I like Daytona. I've raced there. So, 24 hours of Le Mans is like crazy and death defying, but maybe I'll be a little more comfortable on this continent. I don't know.
Oh my God. No, that would be incredible. I can't imagine like what it's like actually having to stay locked in as a team for 24 hours. Like that to me is, I know like they get like naps, but
barely.
Yeah. I've heard stories from my friends that do like the 24-hour races, and it's interesting because the drivers are so like prioritized as they should be, that it's like, okay, driver, you have to go focus on your own race. You're not allowed to be paying attention to the race. Like you have to be in the trailer having a nap, getting prepared for your stint. But like the crew guys are all haywire. They're on like Red Bull number 20. They're all wired. So,
oh my God.
It's just been really interesting to hear the stories of like how tired everyone really gets.
Yeah,
no, I bet.
I would love to go to a 24-hour race. I don't even know, like, how do you even prepare as a driver for that, like, mentally? I'm sure there's, like, months and months of, like, prep, but, like, sometimes the prep just goes out of the window once you're officially doing it. Man, that'd be so cool to be a part of.
Yeah, and I think at some point, the really, really professional drivers that are doing it full-time as a career figured out how to make money off of it. They would just figure out so much structure that it's kind of turnkey for them. It's like, I do this, I eat the same meal. That's something that, I learned a lot from my teammates last year. It's just like how structured they are, that this is how they get into their mindset. This is how they take care of their bodies. And really recognizing that like, yeah, we really are professional athletes. I guess I shouldn't be eating a track hot dog before my stint.
But sometimes the track hot dogs look so good. Not all the time, but sometimes.
Well, and it's funny because I grew up like I think it's so different when you go the karting route, and a lot of the kids coming the karting route are like, yeah, like the goal is Formula cars. They really, really treat it so seriously from such a young age, where I was like messing around and just like doing yeehaw kind of racing until I was like 22, 23 was really when I pivoted and wanted to get into the world of taking it seriously. So it's just funny how much my brain has had to change. Like my dad and I's pre-race meal would be like a Pepsi and a Subway sandwich, and then we'd hop on the race car. And like most of the people that I race with now would be mortified.
Oh my God.
It's so regimented for them.
Yeah.
Like my brain would just like snap it. Like, I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do, but man, I mean, your way, both ways sound fun, but your way sounds like real fun.
For real.
My way has been fun, but it's been different learning that like I have to have those good habits. Yeah. Those good habits come for a reason. And the people who are really, really successful at this take it very seriously in all aspects of their life. And I've had to like learn that level of discipline.
For sure. For sure. What would you say is something that a lot of people don't understand, or something that you want more people to understand when it comes to like building up a career for yourself in racing, especially without a traditional pathway?
That's a really good question. What do I want people to understand? I think that and I feel like you guys are close enough to the industry that you kind of know this now, but like the biggest common misconception is that like all race car drivers are rich.
Yeah.
To be fair, a lot of the people require seed money to get started, but there's also a lot of people hustling and doing everything in their power. Like the amount of stories that I've heard about people like remortgaging their home to go racing and like living very, very, very minimalistic lives in order to put absolutely everything into racing. Like your grassroots race car drivers and the ones who have built their careers on their own backs have worked so impossibly hard for it. And I do have a ton of respect for that. The people who have built their careers themselves, you just know that they did not get there by like luck. It's been a ton of hard work. But yeah, I think that that's the biggest thing that most people don't know.
It's a lot. It's very expensive, even for like the average rich person. Like it's a lot of money that you're investing into it. And kudos to everyone who's, like you said, who's making it work. Cause I've seen some drivers who have full-time jobs and they're also driving. And I'm like, that is absolutely amazing.
Exactly. Like, yeah. And it's tough because, to be honest, we do see it in a lot of sports, a lot of just the underrepresented sports, which I find interesting because racing is like not an underrepresented sport. But like you hear stories about a lot of athletes, the Olympic athletes that like went and won a gold medal and then had to go back to their waitressing job to get by. And it's kind of insane the way the sports industry works.
Yeah, I mean, trying to be a professional athlete these days, like it's a full-time job for the kids who are like going up the ranks. Like no matter what sport, you have to go to camps, you have to do this, you have to do that and the other. It's not like before where, let's say soccer, for example, you could pick up a kid from the street who's showing some skill. Like, no, that child has been going through different camps before they can even make it to like the lower levels.
Yeah. It's crazy. Even for me, like I started racing at such a young age, but because I did such a different form of racing, now it felt like I completely started over and I felt like I was a rookie again at like 23 years old. So it's an interesting world where people are so primed for it.
Mm-hmm. I think especially in sports that have equipment, like you hear, obviously with motorsports, you need an entire car to even do it. But even with like hockey or something, that the price of entry into hockey is insanely high, especially because you're starting out young, like when the kids are like growing, so you're constantly buying like new stuff. But it goes back to what you were talking about, like the scholarship programs that actually open the doors for people to have careers.
Yeah, I think that the scholarship programs are so valuable, and I hope that we get to see more of them.
Fingers crossed, because we need them. We do need them. So what would you say that you see for the future of women in motorsport? What do you envision more specifically for the future of women in motorsport?
To be honest, I think that very soon we'll be getting close to maybe not an equal proportion of men and women in this space, but it's not going to be novel anymore to be a woman in the space. I think that very soon it's just going to be a regular part of competition, which is exactly what all of us are trying to do. But it's really cool right now to actually see how many there are in the younger generation. Like when I was doing this, or when I was younger, most of the time I was the only woman in the room. You'd be surprised if you saw one other woman at the track. And now we're seeing, like, even the Radical Academy program that I'm involved in, I think we have like 20 girls in our sim league, and a good portion of them are actively karting and trying to step into real cars soon. So it's very, very exciting for me that we have this incredible generation coming up. And like, some of them are so impressive. Watching them, I'm like, oh, this girl's gonna kick some serious butt. Like I'm starting to live through them vicariously, because I'm like, oh, she's so cool. And I'm like talking about like a 14-year-old.
I think you're right. I think we're in such a great era for women in sports in general. Like, genuinely, I believe that, like you said, it's not going to be as novel very soon, because I mean, competition, if you want to race against the best, you have to race against the best, and that any gender, it's not just one specific gender, you know? So I'm really excited to see what the future holds for women in sport, but for women in motorsport in particular, because that's what I'm invested in.
Yeah,
exactly. And I love what you said. It really makes it sound like it's well, it doesn't make it sound like it just solidifies the truth that it is such a supportive community where people do have each other's backs and look out for each other, which is exactly what we want.
Yeah, it's been really fun to kind of be a mentor of a program, and to know that I'm giving these young girls a safe space. Like, the biggest thing that helped take off my career was having a good mentor. My mentor changed the trajectory of everything that I was doing, because I had someone who was knowledgeable enough, but I was comfortable enough to ask all my dumb questions to. And he helped me out so much. And I still, like, every day I'm like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? But I'm really happy that I can be giving that space to young girls. And it's really interesting for me, because I feel like I got very comfortable being the only woman in the room and having male coaches and being on an all-male team, just because that's all I ever knew. But what's been really interesting to me is to actually notice that these young girls, some of them really do respond better to a female coach. Some of them are way more comfortable coming to me than, you know, some of the other male coaches that we offer. And I'm just really happy that I can provide that resource. I mean, I don't know everything. I'm figuring it out, but I can tell you what I do know.
That's incredible. I love that. And I love how passionate you are about the mentorship side of things, which kind of brings us to our last question. So our podcast is all about learning from each other. And so we wanted to ask you, you've had a lot of experience on a lot of different tracks and a lot of different types of cars, but what do you think drivers who specialize in like a certain type of racing or a certain series, what do you think they can learn from drivers who move between disciplines and vice versa?
You know, there's something to be said about specializing in something. The people that you know that have driven the same car on the same section of tracks or group of tracks for years, it's like clockwork to them. They know that car inside and out. They know everything about it. They know every tip. They know every trick. And they'll absolutely destroy me if I try to show up to their home track. But the versatility, it's always been drilled into me that being able to basically do cross training, but like drive different cars and go back and forth, is valuable, and it's always supposed to make you a better driver. So I think that if you're learning things from a lot of different disciplines, you might be more willing to try something new, and adapt to situations just a little bit better. If there's a weather change or if a section of a track gets redone or whatever it is, I think that you'd be a little bit more adaptable. But the person who knows that track and that car super well, they're always going to top the charts in like qualifying.
That's so true. I mean, how is there ever, I don't know if you've ever experienced this, has there ever been like, I guess, a moment where you've raced against someone who specializes in a specific track and they just completely like just something, it was just not their day, like it just was not working out for them?
Maybe in my oval track racing, it's hard to say, because in the racing that I've done in the last few years, I have not known the competition that well. Most of the time I'm meeting all of these people for the first time. So I don't really know who specializes in what, but I've definitely experienced that. And there's another thought too, is that I feel like sometimes if you do the same track all the time, and this is my own personal opinion, people might argue with me on this, but I think that if you do the same track, same car all the time, you have a bit more of an inclination to get complacent, because this is what I always do. This is how I always do this. Where if you are jumping back and forth between different cars and different tracks, you're not in the habit of like a procedure of like, this is what I do at this track. You're always in the hunt of finding time. And I think that there is, also a possibility that a new driver could come to a new track and actually top the charts just because of their method of finding time, and they have a different approach. So, it's interesting. You'll definitely like, there's definitely an aspect of like, sometimes you'll show up to even like some grassroots racing and you'll find some older dude who's been racing that same car for the last 20 years and you have no chance. Like, he knows that car and that track inside and out. But then every once in a while you also have these young guns, these Connor Ziliches that are just weapons. Like, so it depends. I don't know. It's a great question, because I don't know what the answer is.
It was just something that popped up and I was like, I wonder if she knows. But that's pretty much all we have for you today, Alana. Thank you so much for speaking with us and joining us on the Hold the Pass podcast. We know you're super busy, so we truly do appreciate it. And we are very, very excited to follow your journey this year. And hopefully we'll see you on the track.
I would love that.
Fingers crossed.
This was fun.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This has been the Hold the Pass podcast. I've been your host, Fatima.
And I've been your host, Misha.
And if you like this episode, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And please don't forget to share. You can find us at Hold the Pass Podcast and on Spotify and wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you would like to connect with us, you can find us at Hold the Pass Pod on Instagram and TikTok. Thank you all so much, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.